Kind of jumpy today.
It's always like this.
Always jumping that
yeah,
much?
yeah.
I thought we got rid of it.
No. Now there's one person. Do you mind if we start class? Yeah? Okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. So welcome to the last class, inshallah. We'll try to get through the material so that we can have everything ready for the final exam. One student took an early final exam, and just so you know, without even doing the last chapter, I just gave her the notes, and she did really good, which should be a good sign for you because you have the whole weekend to study. So that should be a good sign, and you should feel good about that. So don't panic too much, inshallah. This Sunday, from 2 to 4, we have a review session. So is anyone going to be attending that review session? Okay, so that's good. It's not with me, but someone else is going to be teaching, inshallah, and it's going to be beneficial. Who is not registered for taking the final online or on-site? Everyone was supposed to register. So if you don't register by tomorrow, I've been notified to tell you that you'll get a 0. So you got the email, right? Everyone got the email? Oh, you don't check it? Okay, so in CIS you should be checking your email for at least every 48 hours, which is reasonable. Yes. Yeah. As long as you have notified us in writing about something, then it's okay. Then we don't need to worry about it. But if you've not notified us in writing, you have to register. And if you don't register by tomorrow, you get a 0. So it's the easiest way to fail the exam. When did we send the email? I have no idea. Does anyone know when they got the email? 2 days ago? You didn't get the email? It did go out, right? You're enrolled in the class? Officially, right? Yeah, you should be getting an email. I mean, check your spam box. But email us immediately. Okay, so everyone who's watching this video or here in class, you have to email us and by letting us know by tomorrow whether you're taking final online or you're taking it in class. Okay? Yeah. There was an email sent to you, so you didn't get the email either? Do you check your email? I think I did. I just clicked it. You know, go back to that email and you just click there, which says I'm taking it online or I'm taking it in class. So you gotta basically, there should be a click or something like that. All right, so make sure you let us know. Otherwise, so one thing with CIS, I know some people are not that good with technology or something like that, but checking your email is a very important skill which we push on people. You have to learn to check your emails. So we make you responsible for checking your emails, and you cannot say, well, you know, I don't really use email. We can show you how to use it. We can teach you how to use it. We can help you set up an email or whatever it may be, but we have to be able to communicate with you, and we cannot communicate with you on an individual basis all the time. So we have to, you have to, learn how to use email properly, and you have to be checking regularly. This is just part of life, and it's something that will make it too difficult for us if we don't utilize this process. So please cooperate in this aspect, inshallah. Any questions about the final before we begin? And you can ask at the end of class too. I'll give you time. Anything specific? Yeah. Extend the time? You mean from Tuesday? No, from Tuesday we cannot extend. If you need more time, like on the day, I can extend the time to like 10:30 at night or 11 p.m. or something. But we can't extend the day. It would not be fair because many people, they cannot take the final afterwards. So it wouldn't be fair to them because they already have a work schedule. So inshallah, just work really, really hard this weekend. Make a lot of dua, a lot of prayers, a lot of Red Bull, all right? And inshallah, you're going to be fine. So remember what I'm giving you. I'm giving you the vocabulary, the verb conjugation chart. Fa'ala, fa'ala, fa'alu. I'm going to give you that. And I'm going to give you the plurals of all the words. Not the singular, just the plurals. So you have to know which plural matches. It's not that difficult, but you have to know which one. So I'm just going to give you an entire sheet with all the plurals. So I'm going to give you anbiya, I'm going to give you awlad, rijal, nisa, banat. Just a list with all the Arabic words, nothing else. That's what you're going to get for plurals. Dual form? No, dual is predictable. Just add ani or aini. There's nothing to memorize. They just memorize the rule. So yeah. No, I'm not going to give you dual forms. All right. Okay. So let's get started, inshallah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. So we left off chapter 8. We covered the vocabulary. I'm sure you got it down by now, inshallah. So we covered an, bi, and li. Right. So we talked about an has so many different meanings. We talked about bi, and we talked about li. Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. Okay. So then we talked about how li changes. You drop the lam, and in the word Allah, you drop the alif and one lam, because otherwise there'd be three lams. Right? And then we talked about liman. Right? So what does liman mean? For whom or whose? Just read that off the slide, right? All right. But that's what it means. All right, and we did some of these, and then we started defective verbs, right? So we did kana already? We did kana already? Yes. Okay, so we used kana. And did we do laysa already? We did not do laysa. Okay. So where is my laysa slide? My laysa slide is missing. Okay, that's fine. We'll figure out another way to get this laysa slide. Bear with me. Chapter 8. Here we go. Okay. So this laysa slide didn't make it on the PowerPoint, but it's here. So let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay. So in order to, so we learned how to use kana, right? And we said it works like a verb. So we saw how it works. Now, if you want to negate an equational sentence, you use laysa. Okay? So take a look at this sentence. Ar-rajulu ghaniyun. It's an equational sentence. It means the man is rich. Al-waladu saghirun. What would that mean? The boy is young. Al-bintu ba'idatun. What would that mean? The girl is far. So these are all equational sentences. So what you do is, if you put laysa in front of an equational sentence like ar-rajulu ghaniyun, what happens? Just like kana. What happens to the first word? Nothing. It keeps the dhamma. It had a dhamma, it keeps a dhamma. If it had two dhammas, it would keep two dhammas. What happens to the second one? It becomes mansoob. So it takes fathas. Had two dhammas, it takes two fathas instead. Why? Because it's like the subject of the verb and the object of the verb. Right? So it functions just like a verb. So you put laysa here, and now the meaning becomes, instead of the man is rich, it becomes the man is not rich. So remember, you cannot just put like a ma there. You know, like in the verbs, we say ma katabtu, I did not write. Now you cannot just put a ma in front of a equational sentence. You have to put laysa. So ar-rajulu ghaniyun, laysa ar-rajulu ghaniyan. Right? If you said al-waladu saghirun, you would say, to negate it, laysa, laysa, the original sentence is al-waladu saghirun. So you put a laysa in the front, and then you would get laysa al-waladu صغيرا. There you go. That's how you say the boy is not young. Okay? So that's what you do. You put a laysa, and then the second one becomes mansub. It takes fathas. Okay? Same thing with plural. الرجال أغنياء. Remember that's غير منصرف. Dipped out. الرجال أغنياء. You put a laysa there. You don't need to conjugate the laysa. Laysa stays in its normal singular form. ليس الرجال أغنياء. The men are not rich. This means the men are rich. The men are not rich. So laysa will negate it, right? And laysa will also cause, don't forget this, it will cause it's the second part of the sentence to become mansub. Right? Same thing with the feminine. Hiya talibatun, she's a student. Laysat talibatan, she is not a student. So wait a minute, what happened to the hiya? Where did the hiya go? It became built into the laysat, right? Just like a verb would have, right? So laysat, she is not talibatan. And one of the most common mistakes you're going to keep making is you're going to write laysat talibatun. If you said laysat talibatun, what does it mean? What would laysat talibatun mean? There is no is in the sentence because it's not complete. So what would it be? It would mean a student, female, a student is not, that's it. If you said laysat talibatun, it would mean a student is not. Is not what? Because the second part of the laysa is missing, right? Because you put the subject there. Now if you say laysa talibatan, this becomes the object of laysa. And where is the subject of laysa? It's built in. It's the hiya built in, right? So laysa has to have a subject and an object. Just like many verbs, they have to have both, right? Kana has to have two parts. It has to have a subject, it has to have an object. Sometimes the subject is built into the word, just like verbs. Sometimes it's not built in, and you have to show it. So here, laysa rajulu ghaniyan. Rajul is the subject of laysa. Ghaniyan is the object of laysa. So it has both parts. Here, laysat talibatan. Where's the subject of laysa? It's built in. And what is it? Equal to? Hiya, she. Right? Where's the object of laysa? Taliba. Exactly. You have to have both. Now, if you change it to laysa talibatun, then the word talibatun would become the subject of laysa. So you'd get a student is not, and you don't have a sentence because you have to have another something remaining. All right. An-nisa'u mu'minatun. The women are believers. Equational sentence, one of the easy ones, right? Laysatin nisa'u. This is a sukun, remember, originally. Laysatin nisa'u mu'minatin. The women are not believers. Did we go over this before? No, we went over kana. So why is this in instead of an? Because what? There is no atan. Doesn't exist in the Arabic language, so it becomes atin. Although it should have, it's mansub. It is mansub. Like this is mansub. Aghniya'a. Ghaniyan is mansub. Talibatan is mansub. This is also mansub. It's in the state of mansub, but it can't show its fatha because it's not allowed to. So it becomes in. Okay. That's it. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. And any questions before we start practicing this? Any questions? Okay, so let's see if you got it. 8.3. So read the following out loud. So read the sentence for your own benefit. So how would you read number 1? Hadha wala din dun. Hadha wala dun. Right? So you read it out loud just for your own practice. Figure out what it's saying. Right? Then rewrite the sentence with kana in the sentence. Rewrite it with kana. So put kana in there and then write down the translation. So when you write kana, okay, obviously you don't just write kana and you say, oh good, kana. You have to conjugate kana, right? So if it's kana or it's going to be kanat, then you have to see how the sentence changes. So when you add kana to it, what is going to change in the sentence? So then you write down the translation. What does it mean? Then you rewrite the sentence again with laysa. So write laysa, same sentence again, make the changes, grammatical changes you need to, and then translate it again. And make sure to write all the vowels out so that you know what you're doing. Right? Otherwise, if you don't write the vowels, you know what you're gonna think? You're gonna write ar-rijal, you're gonna write kana ar-rijal aghniya, and then you don't write the vowels. And then when I tell you the correct answer is laysa kana ar-rijalu aghniya, and you probably in your mind when you were doing the homework, you thought aghniya'an, but you didn't write the vowels. You didn't even realize you made a mistake, so you can't learn from your mistake. So make sure to write the vowels, at least on the last letter. At least on the last letter. Alright, so let's do this. Who finished the first two already? First two? Nobody yet? Okay. Keep going. let's break for Maghrib, inshallah. We can come back and we'll have more time.
المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله 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 أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. القارعة القارعة وما أدراك ما القارعة يوم يكون الناس كالفراش المبثوث وتكون الجبال كالعهن المنفوش فأما من ثقلت موازينه فهو في عيشة راضية وأما من خفت موازينه فأمه هاوية وما أدراك ما هي نار حامية. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الله
Where did these come from? Did someone get married or something? Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah. I got 3 of them. Jazakumullah khairan. Huh? Oh, there's an Arabic note inside? It's okay. We won't count it against the person. Chocolates compensate for grammar. Not on finals day though. Only today. Alright, who's done with the first 2 by the way? Okay. Now it's chocolate time, right? forget the homework. هذا سعيدا في الامتحان ما شاء الله جزاكم الله خيرا. For number 2? Oh, the second time. Yeah, no, second time. Remove the kana and then put laysa. Yeah. Yeah, kana and laysa don't come together. Which Arabic? Okay. Okay, okay.
So I never could find
So she said show it to someone that you have the entire homework done and you did it in time. Let me see it real quick. That's fine.
The hadith took the longest.
You're in the hadith class also? Oh, the last hadith. Yeah. But it helped, right?
My cursive readers there. They come.
Alhamdulillah.
I have everything up. Last class, I've been doing it online Tuesday for kids. So I thought I had it, but now we have a phone.
I have a whole one?
Everything changed with the tools.
So just send an email to the same sister and CC me on it and say that I showed it to him already. Mustafa, I can see that. Okay, now who's got the first two? You're trying to delay on purpose so that we don't finish or something? No conspiracies here. Okay, we gotta move on. Let's see what you got. Who got number one? Yeah. Good. هذا ولد. This is a boy. كان ولدا. Happened to هذا. So you try to take هذا and you put it into the kana. Alright, so هذا we keep it actually. If it was huwa, we would do exactly what you said. Yeah, we leave هذا though. So هذا and huwa are a little bit different. Sorry, you almost got it. So just do it again now that you know the هذا stays. كان هذا ولدا, which means this was a boy. Exactly. All right, and then with Laysa.
ليس هذا ولد.
Laysa haza waladan.
Um,
This is not a boy. Okay. Good. That's exactly how we do it. Number 2. Yeah, they look exactly the same. So if you got one right, you got the other one right. The kana was. The laysa is not. Not was not. Is not. Yeah, so it's is. It's stays present tense. Who wants to do number 2? Go ahead. Bismillah. Kanat bintan. Good. It means what? Is she a girl? How did it become a question? She is a girl? Kanat. You made it into a question again. She was. She was. She was a girl. Kanat. Did you say hazihi? Oh, you didn't say hazi. Okay, so you did the same thing with him. Keep the haza in there, right? So kanat hazihi bintan. What does that mean? This was a girl. Yeah, because she's a this, right? Hazihi is this. So if it was a hiya, then it would be right. Kanat bintan. But it's hazi, so kanat hazihi bintan. This was a girl. Right? And with Laysa, yeah, Laysat hazihi bintan, which means hazihi. What does hazihi mean? What does hazihi mean? Hazihi does not mean she. Hiya means she. What does hazihi mean? This. Exactly. So say this. All right. So Laysat hazihi bintan means this. Laysat. This is not a girl. This is not a girl. Okay. All right. Who did number 3? Yeah. Hmm. For kanat? Bintan. Yeah, bintan. Ta with alif. Yes. Regular ta, open ta with the alif at the end. Bintan. Good. Anyone did number 3? You did number 3? Go ahead.
um, كان
Kana.
محمد
Kana Muhammadun
رسولا.
Rasul.
لا
La.
لن.
Lan. Rasulan. With the alif, but Rasulan. Yeah. Which means
محمد رسول.
Muhammad was a messenger. Good. And if you put Laysa there,
ليس محمد رسول.
so please put Laysa.
ليس
Laysa
محمد
Muhammadun
رسولا.
Rasulan. Yeah, we're talking about Muhammad Iqbal in the second sentence. Right? So to keep our aqidah straight. Right? So we're talking about some random Muhammad Ali or something like that. Okay? So he was not our prophet. Good. Good. All right. Let's move on. English to Arabic. So do the first 2, inshallah, in 5 minutes. No more than 5 minutes. You're already in number 6? Good. All right. Change it to the female form. Yes. So if my mom is on 6, everyone should be done with 2 by now. Yeah. So, 30 seconds. Hmm? Hmm? You're done? If you're done, keep going. Don't stop. And in case you're leaving early, I'm going to give you a hint before the end of class of what to expect on the final, inshallah. More than I've already given you in the practice final, inshallah. So you don't want to leave early. Okay, let's do this. Number 1, to volunteer. This is not a mosque. Yes. That's fine. Laysa hadhihi masjid. You said, did you say done or done? What do you say now? Done. Okay, good. Very, very close. Laysa hadhihi masjidan. But you're thinking of a pink masjid in your mind again. So remove remove the feminineness of the masjid.
You know, I was thinking that, but the last chapter when we had
When it's plural, masajidu will be hadhihi, yes, but it's one masjid. So it should be laysa hadha masjid done. Good. This is not a mosque. Number 2, she was rich. Kanat ghani. Huh? You had it right the first. Kanat ghaniyatan. Exactly. Kanat ghaniyatan. Who wrote kanat ghaniyan? Anybody? Common mistake. Yeah, exact. Very common mistake. Because you're like, okay, I got the kanat part down. See, I made it feminine. And then you forgot the second part to make it feminine. Very, very common mistake. Kanat ghaniyatan. With alif at the end? Alif at the end? No. Because it's ta marbuta. Round ta cannot take alif. Also common mistake. Alright, number 3, a girl was here. A girl was here. Kanat bintun huna. A girl was here. Very good. He was over there, number 4. Yes. Huwa kana hunaka. Okay. We don't need the huwa. So remove hana, remove huwa. Kana hunaka. He was over there. Good. Alright, let's move on. Alright, so the end question?
So on masjid we add alif.
Masjidan, yes, you add alif.
So we add alif.
You always add alif unless it's a round ta. Only a round ta. Bintan, you add alif. Madinatan, don't add alif. Got it? Alright. Li'anna and limaza. Alright, so the question word limaza, very common word, means why. And it comes at the beginning of the sentence, usually before the verb, or usually coming before a verb. So for example, you put, what does jalasal waladu mean? What does jalasal waladu mean? The boy sat down, right? You put limaza in front, and you get limaza jalasal waladu. Why did the boy sit down? Right? What if you said, why did the boy sat down? Just the English is wrong, right? That's it. So this is the way the English language is. So limaza jalasal waladu. Why did the boy sit down? Limaza sajadta lillahi. Why did you prostrate to Allah? If you remove the limaza, you get sajadta lillahi, which means, what is sajadta lillahi? You prostrated to Allah. Good. So you put limaza and you turn it into a question. Right. So the word li'anna means because, right? Because once you ask a question, you want to answer why. So the word li'anna means because, but there's a rule with see, limadha did nothing to the following verb, right? No change at all. Li'anna causes a change. So rule number one, li'anna, it means because. Rule number one, li'anna is always followed by a noun. Do not put li'anna and then a verb. Do not put li'anna and then a preposition like li'anna fi, right? Li'anna is followed by a noun, number one. Rule number two, the noun is in the mansub case. Mansub case means it's going to take a fatha or two fathas or, something else that's supposed to be a fatha, right? Mansub. So you say jalasa. What does jalasa mean? He sat. So he sat, jalasa, لِأَنَّ الْبَيْتَ بَعِيدٌ. Because al-bayta, the house. So the li'anna made the next word, al-bayta, become fatha. Ba'idun. This one takes normal. Because the house is far. So don't get confused and say لِأَنَّ الْبَيْتَ بَعِيدًا. Because remember when the is comes in, this is the subject, this is the predicate. Mubtada and khabar. But this is like a sentence. You say al-baytu ba'idun. If you put li'anna, the al-bayta becomes fatha, and this one remains the other way. It's like the opposite of laysa. Right? Laysa causes the first one to keep dhamma and make this one fatha. Li'anna causes the opposite. Make the first one fatha, the second one keeps a dhamma. It's like flipped around. Right? So jalasa li'anna al-bayta ba'idun. Ana Muslimun. I am a Muslim. لِأَنَّ اللَّهَ, because Allah خَلَقَ الْأَرْضَ, created al-ard, the earth. I'm a Muslim because Allah created the earth. Any questions on li'anna? Yes. The earth, because now khalaqa is the predicate of the sentence. So khalaqa overrides whatever would come here. So khalaqa, he created. Now it's a verbal sentence here. So think of this as a box. It's very important to look at it as boxes. So put a box around this. This is the predicate, right? And then put a box around this. This is the subject. Allah created the earth. Put a box around al-bayt, the house is ba'idun. Put a box around there. Okay? Right. So don't forget, here, jalasa, what if I wanted to say, he sat because the small house is far. If I wanted to make the house small, I want to say the small house. لِأَنَّ الْبَيْتَ الصَّغِيرَ. Why as-saghira? It's a direct attributive adjective and it has to copy the vowel of what it's describing. So it has to take al because it takes al. It has to take fatha because the previous one takes fatha. It has to be singular because the other one is singular. It has to be masculine because the other one is masculine. It copies, remember, attributive adjectives copy everything about the vowels. Right, so just don't forget that. And then what you would do is, if you put as-saghira, ba'idun, you would put a box around al-bayt as-saghira. And that would become the subject. And then ba'idun would be the predicate. So let's try this. Do a few of them. Do 1, 1, 2, and 2. Does لماذا make it past tense? No. If the verb is past tense, it stays past tense. If it's not, then it doesn't. Okay, let's take a look. Number 1. Would like to read that for me? Yeah. لماذا كتبت هذا? Good. Which means? Why did you write this? Exactly. All right, number 2. Number 2. This one. لماذا ذهب الإنسان إلى النار? Good. Which means? Why did the person go to the fire? Good. All right, good. Number 8.6, number 1. 8.6, number 1. Go ahead. Go on, so. بعيدا. Alright. لماذا كان الجبل بعيدا? Why was the mountain far? Alright. لماذا كان الجبل بعيدا? So why did you change بعيد to بعيدا? Do you know why? Because of the kana, exactly. So لماذا كان الجبل بعيدا? Good. Did you learn that in your Davis class? See, we were making fun of your school last week, actually. Yeah, so it's okay. The mount. Did you say the mountain? You said al-jabal. He said al-jabal. Right, number 2. Why did you sit down here? Ali. Didn't do it? Did anyone do it? Did anyone write something? Go ahead, do it again. Come on. It's better than Davis, right? Go ahead. لماذا جلست هنا. Sit. لماذا جلست هنا. Sit. You got it. All right. Let's move on. So far so good? Okay. So now we're going to learn what's called the mudari' form for verb conjugation. We're going to learn the present tense or the future tense. So we already learned the past tense, right? Remember we learned all 14 forms? All right? Did anyone go home and do their push-ups? Or practice their conjugation, one of the two? We're going to learn the same conjugations for the present tense and future. So the same form is used for the present and future tense verb. So here's the interesting thing. When you say fa'ala, it means he did, past tense. Right? This new form we're going to learn, it could either mean present or future, and you don't know. It could mean both. The same form is used for both. All right? It's just the way it is. We say, well, how can you know though? If somebody says something, how are you going to figure out if they mean now or if they mean later? All right? So if you're familiar with Arab culture, it doesn't really matter because when they speak in the present, it means they're going to do it later anyways, right? No, I'm just kidding. It's just a low blow. All right, but actually, it didn't always used to be that way, but it is now. But context will always make it clear which one is going to be intended. So you can figure it out, don't worry. So notice, remember that all forms build off of the third person masculine single form. So remember fa'ala, and you get fa'alta, fa'alti, fa'alna. It all built off of fa'ala, right? So the same thing happens in the present tense. Also notice some forms are identical. Context will usually determine which one is intended. So let's take a look at these forms. Starting with huwa form. It's yaf'alu. What does fa'ala mean? But really, what does it mean? It means he did. Yaf'alu means he does or he will do. He does or he will do. It can mean either one of these two. Okay? So notice the difference. Fa'ala, he did. Yaf'alu, he does or he will do. And then you get all the other conjugations, just like we have here. So, yaf'alani, it's the huma form. So, yaf'alani means they too do or will do. Right? Hum, yaf'aluna, which means they, referring to a group of men, do or will do. All right? So let's read this together. Yaf'alu, yaf'alani, yaf'aluna, taf'alu, taf'alani, yaf'alna, taf'alu, taf'alani, taf'aluna, taf'alina, taf'alani, taf'alna, af'alu, naf'alu. So what does naf'alu mean? We do or we will do. Right, exactly. Right. So what happens is we can take any other verbs that we've learned and we can put them on the same pattern. But remember that the vowel on the second root letter for both forms may vary in the past and present tense form. So what does that mean? What is the past tense form of yaf'alu? Fa'ala, right? So you notice that most verbs in Arabic have root letters, and there are 3 root letters. So what do you think are the root letters of yaf'alu? Fa, ayn, and lam, mashallah. Right? So those are the root letters. So what it's saying is the middle root letter. Remember we said fa'ala, kataba, zahaba, but some of them like sami'a, the middle letter can have a different vowel. The same thing when it comes to this pattern. So you can have yaf'alu and you can have another verb with the middle, the ayn can have a different letter like a kasra. For example, you can have yaf'ilu, not for fa'ala, but for a different verb, like, for example, kataba, right? You look at kataba and you say, is it yaktabu? No, it's actually yaktubu. So the middle one, the middle letter, can change on some verb forms. How do you know which one it's going to be? I tell you. That's as simple as that. Right, so how do you know sami'a is not sama'a? That's it. That's the way the Arabic language is. That's the way I taught it to you. How do you know dakhala is not like sami'a? You say dakhila. How do you know? It's the way the language is. That's the way you're going to learn it. So the same thing, you're going to figure out that fa'ala is yaf'alu. But kataba is not yaktabu. It's yaktubu. Why? Because I'm going to tell you. You know that you have to memorize that part. Okay, so they're not predictable, so you have to memorize that part, but the rest you can figure out. So if I tell you that kataba is yaktubu, all right, how do you say I wrote in the past? How do you say I wrote? Katabtu, right? So how do you say I write in the present tense? Based upon what I just taught you. So what you do is, you look and you say, okay, I know kataba, right? And I just told you that the form of kataba is yaktubu. So you look and you say yaktubu, okay. So what's going on? There's one little difference here, yaktubu. So the middle letter, the tu, has a dhamma on it. So now I go and I find my form. Where is the I form? Which one is it? Ana, right here. So what I do is, I put the yaktubu that I learned on this pattern. But I don't worry about what vowel is here, because this vowel can change. So now what do I get? From yaktubu, I get aktubu. Not aktabu, aktubu. So aktubu means I write, or I will write. How do I say we will write? Naktubu. Good. How do you say she will write? I heard it. Taktubu. How do you say auntie will write or writes? Takta or taktu? Taktu bina. Taktubina means you write. So you're talking to a girl and you say taktubina. Right? You write something. All right, good. So this is exactly what it is. Remember, I will give you this chart exactly like this. I will give it to you on the, without the pronouns there. I'm going to remove those. And I'm going to give it to you exactly the way it is for your final exam. So you can just look, but what you do need to memorize is you need to memorize, when I tell you kataba, it's not yaktabu. It's not yaktibu. It's yaktubu. You have to memorize that part. All right? So that's not too difficult. So in the vocabularies, when you're learning the new ones, like in the dictionary, it's exactly like the way it is in many dictionaries. I'm going to give you the past tense form is given and full. This should be in full. Right? I'm going to give you the entire past tense form. So I'm going to give you ka, ta, ba in Arabic. And then the vowel of the present tense form will be given in transliteration. A for fatha, u for dhamma, and e for kasra. What does that mean? Take a look at this. So see this? Zahaba. I'm going to give you that. That's how you're going to learn it. And then I'm going to write a little a. What does a stand for? Fatha. What does u stand for? Dhamma. What does e stand for? Kasra. So zahaba, and then I put a little a. What does that mean? That means the present tense form of zahaba is yadhabu. If I write sajada and I put a u, then it's yes judu. So the u means there's a dhamma here. The a means there's a fatha here. And the e from raja'a means there's a kasra here. Yarji'u. So if I tell you, for example, what's another one we learned? Kharaja. You don't know what the present tense of kharaja is yet. So I'm going to tell you kharaja, and then I'm going to put a letter U. So tell me, how do you say he leaves? Yakhruju. You got it. If I tell you sami'a, and I put an A, how do you say I will hear? I heard it. Asma'u. You got it. MashaAllah. This is much easier than the last class. MashaAllah. All right. That's it. So that's how we're going to introduce these verbs. So if you... So There's one more thing before we move on. Verbs will, so sometimes you'll wonder, like, what if I forgot what it was? Let me show you what the ones that we learned. So this is the list. So these are all the verbs we've learned so far, and I'm showing you what are the present tense. So the way you're going to learn them is you're going to say it like this. You're going to say, ذهب يذهب. ذهب يذهب. And you try and memorize it in your mind. Okay, ذهب يذهب, and I can conjugate anything now. So from يذهب, I can make we will go. How do you say we will go? If you remember, it's a na. نذهب, right? So you know يذهب, you can figure out نذهب. If you want to say I will go, you say أذهب. So you figure out how to make conjugations. So let's say them all together real quick. ذهب يذهب. فعل, you tell me. يفعل. Good. رجع يرجع. سجد يسجد. دخل يدخل. علم يعلم. نظر ينظر. كفر يكفر. جلس يجلس. عمل يعمل. خرج يخرج. أخذ يأخذ. خلق يخلق. عبد يعبد. سمع يسمع. ظلم يظلم. كتب يكتب. سأل يسأل. جعل يجعل. أكل يأكل. And ذكر يذكر. Good, we got it. So now here's one thing though. What if you forget and you're thinking, you know what, دخل, was it يدخل or يدخل, or was it يدخل? I can't remember what it was. So here's some interesting things which can help you to guess when you need to guess. So you can never predict 100%, but you can help guess. So here's what happens. When the verb is fa'ala, like kataba and dakhala and kharaja, you can potentially have all three patterns, depending on what the verb is. So kataba could potentially be all three. It could be yaktabu, yaktubu, yaktibu. It's only one of them, but it exists potential to be all three of them. So that doesn't help. So whenever you see a verb that has fa'ala, guessing does not help you at all, unfortunately. But when you see a verb that has the fa'ila pattern, like which verb that we learned so far? Sami'a. Sami'a is your friend, because when you need to guess, there's only two options you have. Option number one, yasma'u. Option number two, yasmi'u. In case you forget, you know 100% for sure it cannot be yasmu'u, because whenever a verb is on the pattern of fa'ila, it does not exist. Yes, the yaf'ulu pattern does not exist in the Arabic language. So if you remember this rule and you forget something else, you can guess and you say, look, sami'a has to be one of these two. I'm 50-50. But the other one, it doesn't exist, so I don't need to worry about it. And this guy is your favorite verb. Fa'ula has to be yaf'ulu, always. So you're like, wow, I wish all verbs could be like that, right? You know for sure there's no way a fa'ula, which we have not learned this verb, but yakbura, right? Only can be yakburu. It cannot be yakbaru, doesn't exist in the language. Yakbiru, there is no possibility. So that's pretty cool, right? The only problem is the number of verbs that are on this pattern is like a handful. So that doesn't help you so much. But this rule helps you actually quite a bit. All right, so this will help you a little bit. If you don't know this, it's not a big deal. If you're good at memorizing, you remember, okay, sami'a is yasma'u, I'll just worry about that. You don't need to know this, it's not that important. But if this is like a little cheat sheet for guessing to help you a little bit, okay? That's rule number one. Rule number two, if you need more hints, when you want to help with your guessing, you don't need to memorize these, but if you like to have little rules in the back of your mind, here's some hints. Doesn't always work, but it usually works. So, when you have fa'ala, like fataha or, what's another example? Okay, kataba, but it's not exactly there. If the second or the third letter is a throat letter, which is ha, ghain, ain, hamza, kha, and ha. See, they're all coming in the back of the throat. Ha, gha, a, ha, kha, ha. All the throat letters, then the present future tense will usually be yaf'alu. Usually it's going to be yaf'alu. That's a tough rule to remember, but maybe it's not even worth memorizing the rule, but it's there in case you care about the rule. Fa'ila is almost always yaf'alu. So this is pretty cool. So sami'a, right? How many options are there for sami'a? 2 options. It could be yasma'u, it could be yasmi'u. So you're 50-50. But if you remember this rule, fa'ila is almost always yaf'alu. You change 50-50 to 80-20 or 90-10. So now you're going to guess yasma'u. 90% of the time, it's going to be that one. And sometimes it's going to be the other one. So this rule will help you very much, right? When you're guessing. And for fa'ula, all the verbs are going to be stative or qualitative in meaning. Don't even worry about this. So kabura, kabirun, don't worry about that. All right. So we learned these. All right. So there's one exception here. When the first root letter of a verb is a hamza, right? Like akhadha and akala, right? The first person singular ana form will become a. Right? So look at akhadha, right? How do you say it's akhadha ya'khudhu, right? How do you say we take? We. Where's the we form? It's a na. Na'khudhu, right? But what about the ana form? I take. It should have been akhudhu, but instead of saying see how weird that sounds? Akhudhu. So what you do is you make it a long vowel, madda, and you say akhudhu. Instead of saying you say So ya'khudhu, ya'kulu becomes akhudhu and akulu. That's it. So you don't say akulu, I'm eating. You say akulu. That's it. Very simple rule. All right, not very difficult to remember. So how do we use this verb? Well, it works like the past tense verb grammatically. So, for example, yasjudu means he prostrates or he will be prostrating. So just sajada means, what does sajada mean? He prostrated. Yasjudu means he prostrates or he will be prostrating. So you can use it in a sentence with objects like you would normally do. Hal tadkhulina al-madinata. Right? Hal tadkhulina al-madinata. Do you enter the city or will you enter the city? Speaking to one female. Right? So how would you say the past tense? How do you change this to past tense? Change tadkhulina to the past tense form. You're talking to one girl and you're using dakhala. I heard one person say that. Dakhalti. Right? So you would say hal dakhalti al-madinata. So same thing. You change dakhalti to the present tense form, the mudari' form, and it becomes hal tadkhulina al-madinata. Now tadkhulina is, in your mind, it's more difficult than dakhalti. Because dakhalti, there's easy ones, right? And when it comes to the present tense, it's anta tadkhulu. Anti tadkhulina. It becomes like really long. Whereas dakhalta and dakhalti are a lot easier. It's just the way Arabic is. Right? So it's a little bit tricky. But once you start practicing, you get in the habit of doing it. You know who's going to be better at these feminine forms? It's always the girls, because they practice talking to each other. And the guys, they're not supposed to be talking to girls in the first place, right? So you don't even get to practice these. Go talk to your mom at home, you know, and then you can practice this. All right. So the present future verb may be negated by using the particle la. So how did we negate a past tense verb? How do you say I did not go? So laysa negates an equational sentence when there's no verb. So ma zahabtu, I did not go. So now you do the same thing, but you don't use ma anymore. You use la when you're talking about this form of the verb. So you say la na'budu jabalan. we do not worship a mountain, or we will not worship a mountain. How would you say this in past tense? Meaning, we did not worship a mountain. We learned this already. So. Okay, don't look at this and then do it. Huh? What's the first? Ma. Yes. Then we did not worship. Ma abadna jabalun. It becomes lun now because of the past tense verb? No, it's exactly the same thing. Jabalan. All you do is you change the la to a ma, and you change the na'budu to past tense. Abadna. Abadna. Ma abadna jabalan. Look at number 2. La yadlimullahu insanan. Allah does not, or Allah is not unjust to a person. Allah will not be unjust to a person. What would the past tense of this be? Okay. Ma zalama Allahu insanan. Everything else is the same. Because the verbs function the same way when it comes to subject and object. So there's no difference in there. It's just the form that changes. So if you wanted to say Allah was not unjust to a person, ma zalamallahu insanan. If you wanted to make it present, la yazlimullahu insanan. You just change the form from the zalama to yazlimu, or yazlimu back to zalama. That's it. All right, getting that down? All right. Maybe, so you can take the, so we said it can be present or future, right? So there's one cool trick. If you want to make sure it's 100% future so nobody misunderstands you, you use sa or you use sofa. You can add a sa or a sofa before the verb. Why do you use a sa? It means the action is in the near future. Sofa means the action is in the more distant future. So let me show you what that means, and then I'll tell you the note. So, nas'aluka. Did we learn attached pronouns yet? No, okay. So pretend that's not there. All right. Okay, skip this example. Okay. Akhudhu. What does akhudhu mean? Akhudhu, just by itself, akhudhu means I take or I will take. Right? So what you do is, if you add sofa before it, it cannot mean I take anymore. It means 100% I will take in the future. Sofa akhudhu al-kitab. I will take the book. That's what sofa does. Right? Same thing here. Just pretend this is not here. Remove the kaf. Draw a line here. Sanas'alu. What does sanas'alu mean? The sa means the future, right? What does nas'alu mean? It's from which verb? What's the past tense? Sa'ala, yas'alu. The nahnu form is nas'alu. Okay, so sa'ala, yas'alu, nas'alu. Alright, so nas'alu means we ask or we will ask. When I say sa nas'alu, it means we will ask. Right? Sa nas'alu, we will ask. Right? So what's the difference between sa and sofa? Sa and sofa means one is like, yeah, I'll do it soon, and one of them is like, yeah, I'll do it later. It's like if somebody says, can you do this for me? And you say, sa'af'alu. Sa'af'alu. I will do it. Right? If someone says, sofa as'alu, right? Sofa af'alu, I will do it, but like, yeah, later. Right? So sometimes that's implied in Arabic in many countries, but the sofa actually means that it's something that they're telling you honestly that they're going to do it like later, right, when they get a chance. So that's sofa. Yeah. So that's the difference between the two of them. And remember, it's relative. So sometimes sofa can sometimes mean 1 hour, and sometimes it can mean 1 year. Sometimes sa can mean 1 year. It just depends on the person. So it's not like nothing is fixed, right? Just like haza and dhalika. How far does something have to be before you use dhalika? It's all relative, right? It just depends. You can even say like dhalika, or you can even say dhalika from here. And someone will say, no, but the dhalika should be farther away. It's all relative. All right, so we got that down. What's this note? Future particles are not combined with the negating particle la. So don't use la with sa or sofa. Don't combine them together. Don't say la sanas'alu, meaning we will not do it. Just don't bring them together, because there's a totally different way to do that. The different word that you're supposed to use, which we're not going to learn until Arabic 3. It's very tricky. So don't worry about that right now. All right? I think we got it, and we can do some practice. So 8.7, what we're going to do is we're going to change the verb forms that are there right now, make them into the mudari' form, the present future tense form, and then translate the meaning into English. So I'll do the first one with you, the tough one. So what's number 1 say? Look at it. Dakhala means he entered, and the present tense form is yadkhulu, which means he enters or he will enter. Right? So do some more of them. Use the what? The what? The AUI. Yeah, you need to know the AU. That's why you're supposed to print the notes before coming to class. Or check with your neighbor. Any of you guys printed the notes? Yeah, got the guy next to you. Okay. Number one. We did number one. Number two. Number two. Ali.
It's yeah.
Ya'kuluna, which means we will eat. It is eat, but it's not we. Look at the past. They. They will eat, or they eat. Good. Number three. Yes. Tajlasa. Tajlisu. Good. Tajlisu, which means she sits or she will sit. Number four. Sofa. Oh, you threw a sofa in there. Okay. It's not needed, but that's so fine. Sofa. Takhruju. Did you say takhruju?
Yes.
Okay. Takhruju. Kharajta takhruju. That's right. All right. Which means what? You're right. Takhruju is she will leave or exit, but it. Looking back at the past tense, what does the past tense mean? Kharajata? No. It's kharajta. Kharajta, which means? No. That's kharajtu is I. So kharajta is anta. You, right? So takhruju is still correct. It is you will leave, but it's not she. It's because takhruju can mean she will leave and it can mean you will leave. So in this case it's you because looking at the past tense. All right, number five. Good. Anyone? Yeah. Tasma'una. Good. Tasma'una, which means you will hear. Yeah. Or you hear. Good. Last one, number six. Khalaqta becomes this is a repeat of number four. The same form we had for number four. Takhluqu, right? With the exception of takhruj, yeah, same form. Takhluqu. Right? Even with the vowel. Takhluqu. Takhluqu. Right? Alright, 8.8, number one. He asks. He asks. Yeah. Yas'alu. Good. Yas'alu. Number two, she eats. Yeah. Ta'kulu. Good. Number three, we look. We look. Nanzuru. Good. Number four, I remember. This is a very important one to know. Right? What is it? I remember. I heard azkiru. Azkuru. Azkuru. Alright, so why it's so important? Because every time I ask you, you can just say, La azkuru. I don't remember. Alright? The most common phrase you're going to be using in the future. Alright? La azkuru. Number 5, I prostrate. Asjudu. Right? This is in the witr dua, right? Those of you who pray witr, it's part of the dua. So now you know what it means. That part, inshallah. Asjudu. Okay, let's stop there. You can do the rest for homework. Now, let's use them in full sentences. Right, so do 1 and 2 of both. Who did the first two of each one? Who needs more time to finish that? Okay, I'll give you a few more minutes. Okay, let's take a look. Number one. Who can help us? Number one. Ali.
سيغلبون
Say it again.
سيغلبون
سيظلمون
المسلمين.
المسلمين. Good. Which means what?
They will oppress
They will oppress the Muslims. Yes. Number two. Number two. Yes. أين تعلمين ذلك? Which means, where did you learn that? Good. 8.10, number one. She will ask Yusuf. Yeah.
Are we doing the present tense?
You doing what?
Is this present tense?
Yeah.
أين
أين تعلمين ذلك? That's present.
where did you say where did you learn?
Where? Yeah. Where did you learn this? Where did you learn that? Oh, sorry. It's not. Yeah, not where did you. Where do you? Where do you learn that?
Where will you learn?
Where do you or where will you? It can mean either way. Yeah, you're right. It's not past tense. Good catch. Go ahead. She will ask Yusuf. ستسأل يوسف. Fu or fa? Who's being asked? Okay, so ستسأل يوسف. And number two. Number two, last one. It's got to be quick. The muazzin is going crazy. Yes. هل تسمع القرآن? Exactly. هل تسمع القرآن? Do you hear the Quran? Very good. All right, so we'll come back and continue with chapter 9. You can keep practicing when you come back. Remember, we come back immediately after the prayer, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. ويل لكل همزة لمزة الذي جمع ماله وعدده يحسب أن ماله أخلده كلا لينبذن في الحطمة وما أدراك ما الحطمة نار الله الموقدة التي تطلع على الأفئدة إنها عليهم مؤصدة في عمل ممددة. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
Why this one is not bintan? Why is bintan? Kanat bintun.
كانت بنت because the huna is the object. Bintun is the subject of kana.
That's right.
So bint, the subject of kana always has to have un. This one actually should have had the fatha, but can't take it.
So the nominal sentence, the predicate takes dhamma. The nominal sentence.
With kana or without kana?
Without kana.
Without kana, the predicate takes dhamma. With kana, the predicate takes fatha. Exactly. Same with laysa. Okay. Done. Chapter 8. Okay. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. So we're done with chapter 8. We move on to chapter 9. So let's review the vocabulary for today's lesson. Say it with me. Qalbun, qulubun, which means heart. Yadun, aydin, which means hand. Now keep in mind, hand is feminine, right? And when you add al to aydin, the plural, you get al-aydi. The ya, this ya comes back all of a sudden. Aydin, al-aydi, right? We're probably not going to use this rule for the final or anything, but just so you know for your reference. Hand is female. So here's an interesting fact, which we didn't study yet, but you should know. All body parts in Arabic that come in pairs are feminine. All body parts in pairs are feminine. So is nose feminine? No. Is your mouth feminine? No. Are your eyes feminine? Yes. Your ears? Yes. Your hands? Your feet? Yes. What about your stomach? No. Right? Your kidney? It's a good question. I actually don't know about the kidneys. But yeah, good. So all general body parts like eyes, ears, feet, hands that come in pairs, they're feminine. That's just the way it is in Arabic. Okay? So yadun is feminine. Wajhun, say it with me. Wajhun, awjuhun, face. Famun, afwahun, mouth. Notice the meme is gone in afwahun. Right? Pretty tricky one. So it's a special case. Zawjun, azwajun, spouse. So zawjun can be for male or female. So if you're talking to your wife, you can say zawji. And if your wife is talking to you, she can say you don't know what zawji means yet, but you can say zawjun or you can say zawjun for both. So spouse applies for both. Okay? Rabbun, arbabun, Lord. Ibnun, the female would be ibnatun, and abna'un means son. Right? Ibnun and abna'un means son, and ibnatun means daughter. Ilahun, alihatun is a deity or a god. You should know this really well because you say the shahada, la ilaha, that's the word ilah, ilaha. Right? Ahlun means people, or it can also mean family, like Ahlul Bayt, right? People of the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Qawmun, community or people. Ismun, asma'un, name, right? And ummatun, umamun, community or a nation, like the ummah. Like we Muslims are form one ummah, one community, one nation, right? And then we have proper names: Salihun and Yahya. These are prophets. Okay. So the rules we're going to learn today: the attached possessive pronoun that are used with nouns. So the possessive pronoun. So attached pronouns, what are called damir muttasil in Arabic. They're suffixed to nouns in order to indicate possession. So if you wanted to say his book or her city, you have to use an attached pronoun. Right? If you use a detached pronoun and you say, like, for example, huwa kitabun, does that mean his book? No. What does that mean? He is a book, or it is a book, right? So you have to use a different form. So here are the actual attached pronouns. So the same 14 forms. So for the third person masculine form is hu, huma, and hum. So say this with me. Hu, huma, hum. Ha, huma, hunna. Ka, kuma, kum. Ki, kuma, kunna, na. So what does that mean? So if you take the word kitab, okay, and you add a hu to it, all right, you would say kitabuhu. So kitabuhu, and I'll explain to you why there's no tanween and all that. Kitabuhu means his book. So the third person masculine, right? So if you say kitabuhu, it means his book. What does kitabuha mean? Her book, right? What does kitabuka mean? Your book. When you're speaking to a guy, right? Kitabuki means your book when you're speaking to a female. Kitabi means my book, all right? Kitabuhuma. Their book, referring to two people. Kitabuhuma, same thing, but two females. Kitabukuma. You're talking to two people, you're saying your book. Kitabukuma for two women, same thing. Kitabukuma, two women. Kitabuhum, their book. Kitabuhunna, their book for females. Kitabukum, all of your book. Kitabukunna, for females, your book. Kitabuna, our book. So how do we say our pen? Qala mu, just use u for now. Qala mu na. How do you say my pen? Qala mi. Right? How do you say his pen? Qala mu hu. How do you say her city? Her city. Madinatuha, her city. Right? So basically, you're gonna have to memorize this little chart with all of the different forms. Right? So this is pretty easy to memorize, not too difficult. And you could take any noun and attach it. So how do you say his books, plural? His books. Kutubuhu. How do you say our books? Kutubuna. How do you say my mosque? Masjidi. This is what you should be saying about IIOC, by the way. Masjidi, right? How do you say our mosques? Masajiduna. Good. Masajiduna. All right, so we got that. So now some notes. So where were the previous notes? Any previous notes? No. Okay, that's it. When a possessive pronoun is suffixed to a noun, it is treated as being definite. It has the meaning of being definite, which is why it does not take a tanween. So you will never see a possessive pronoun attached to a noun and you have a tanween. You never say kitabunhu or kitabunka or kitabinka. or kitabanna. There is no tanween when you add an attached pronoun to it. And the reason why there's no tanween is because it has the meaning of being definite. When you say his book or her book or our book, we're not talking about a book anymore. We're talking about something specific, right? So it has the meaning of definite. And what happens when there's a tanween? Tanween means it's not definite, except proper nouns. It's not definite, right? Kitabun, masjidun, qalamun, a pen, a book, a mosque. But al-kitabu, no tanween. Tanween's gone, right? So the same thing here. Don't use tanween. And give it the meaning that is definite. So if you say kitabuhu, his book, right? Let's say I wanted to add an attributive adjective. And I wanted to say his big book. Alright? I'm going to add kabir. Now, do I add al or I don't add al? So, al makes kabir definite, right? Is the word kitabuhu definite or indefinite? Look at the screen. It's definite, right? So if kitabuhu makes kitab definite, if you're going to bring an attributive adjective, you also have to make it definite. And how do you make an adjective like kabir definite? Add an al. So if you wanted to say his big book, you would say kitabuhu al-kabiru. If you wanted to say his book is big, you would say kitabuhu kabirun. Exactly. Okay? So let's take a look here. So kitabu plus ka gives you kitabuka. Okay? So this means, what does kitabuka mean? What does it mean? Your book. Right? Now, that's in the marfu' case, right? When it's supposed to be marfu', kitabuka. Now, in the mansub case, you can actually get kitabaka. So how would you get this word to be in the mansub case? It's a very simple way, without a complete sentence. One of the easiest ways is put li'anna before it. Right? Because li'anna causes what? The next one to have a mansub. So just put as a sample test, li'anna kitabaka. So if you want to say, kitabuka kabirun. So kitabuka marfu'. Li'anna kitabaka. Because your book. Right? It can also be majroor. Kitabika. Still it means your book. Now how would you get, what could you do to get kitabika? How do you get majroor here? Like, give me an example. Ala. Okay, so ala kitabika. That's it. There's one easy way to understand why it's happening. So ala kitabika. What's another example? Ila kitabika. Zahabtu ila kitabika. I went to your book. Or fi kitabika, min kitabika, right? So what happens is, what you're learning here is, this last letter on the word kitab can never take tanween. It will never have tanween when it has an attached pronoun. But it will show the different states of u, a, and e, marfu', mansub, and majroor. It will show all of them, okay? Same thing with feminine. Kitabu plus ha gives kitabuha, her book. Right? Kitabuha saghirun. Her book is small. Kitabaha li'anna kitabaha. Because her book is small. How do you say that? Saghirun. Yeah. Kitabiha min kitabiha. From her book. Right? That's it. So that's the basic way in which it's going to be used. The possessive pronouns are used in sentences in the following way. So you use it just like I was telling you. Kitabuhu. What does kitabuhu mean? His book. Wasikhun. Is dirty, right? So his book is dirty. Wa kitabi. See, kitabi is the one exception where you don't show any dhamma or whatever it is. Wa kitabi nadhifun. And my book is clean, right? his book is dirty and my book is clean. How do you say her book is dirty and our book is clean? Kitabu ha wasikhun wa, and our book. Wa kitabuna nazifun. Good. All right. Second way to use it, wajadtu kitabahu fi baytika. Right? So I found his book in your house. So why is this not kitabuhu? Who can tell me why is this not kitabuhu? Like, look, this is kitabuhu. Why is this not kitabuhu? Because the book didn't do the finding. So this is not the subject of the verb, it's the object of the verb. So object of the verb is going to be mansub, takes a fatha. So wajadtu kitabahu fi baytika. Why is this not baytuka? Because the fi causes it to become majroor, takes a kasra. Exactly. Masjiduna, our masjid, our mosque. As-saghiru, our small mosque. Right? So remember I told you, why did you put a al here? Direct attributive adjective has to be definite because masjid is definite. Right? And masjid is definite because it has an attached pronoun. Yeah, because it has na on it. Ba'idun is far. Right? Predicate. Right? So masjiduna as-saghiru ba'idun. Right? These are the three ways to use it. Any questions on this? Anything unclear? Good. All right. So let's do some. Oh, so this is really annoying, but you have to learn it. So there's a bunch of exceptions to the rule. So you have to learn some exceptions. Very few, actually, not too many exceptions. The pronouns hum and kum become humu and kumu when followed by a wasla. So remember what the rule is? When you have two sukuns in a row, what happens to the first one? Takes a kasra. With one exception we've seen so far. So we've seen two exceptions. Mina is the one exception. The second exception was humu. Exactly. So this is the same exception. Hum becomes humu and kum also becomes kumu. So take an example. Kitabuhum al-kabiru becomes kitabuhumul kabiru. Kitabukum al-saghiru becomes kitabukum al-saghiru. Pretty easy. It's clear, right? All right. The first person singular supersedes all other vowels. So check this out. Kitabi kabirun wajadtu kitabi. This should have actually been kitaba. But imagine if you tried to say kitabai. You put a vowel, it just doesn't make sense. The E sound has to come in and it overrides the part. So wajadtu kitabi. Even though kitabi is the object, should have taken a fatha, it can't. Because it overrides. So wajadtu kitabi nazara ila kitabi. Right? It does take a kasra automatically. But all forms is E. So kitabi, masjidi. You don't even need to think about whether it's going to have dhamma or fatha or kasra. It always has kasra. There's no other option. But this is one of the easiest ones to use in practice. Okay. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? My mom found my book. Okay, let's do that right now. So, my mom found. Start with the verb. Is your mom masculine or feminine? Okay, so wajadat ummi my book. Kitabi. Exactly. Wajadat ummi kitabi. So ummi is the subject, kitabi is the object, but they cannot take a dhamma and they cannot take a fatha. They're just stuck in the E form. Got it? That's it. All right. Exceptions. The noon on the, this won't be on the final, by the way. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't listen to what I'm saying, by the way. But the noon on the dual and masculine plural is dropped when adding an attached pronoun. So What is the dual of kitab? Kitabani or kitabaini. So see the noon at the end? When you add an attached pronoun, you're going to remove the noon. That's just the rule. And what is the masculine plural? Sound masculine plural for Muslim. What's the plural for Muslim? Muslimuna or Muslimuna or the majroor form, Muslimina, right? Muslimuna or Muslimina. Notice there's a noon at the end of both of them, right? So they also have a noon. The noons go away when you attach a pronoun. So the noon just disappears. The last noon. So ani, noon's gone. Aini, noon's gone. Una, noon is gone. Ina, noon is gone. So what remains? An alif or a waw or a ya. Right? So let's look at examples. Waladahu muslimani. So what was this originally? It was waladani plus hu. So what does waladani mean? This translation is wrong. Forget this. What does waladani mean? Waladani. Two boys. Alright? So waladani plus hu. What would that mean? His two boys. So when you connect them together, the noon disappears. So what are you left with? Walada and who? His two boys. How do you say her two boys? Walada ha. Her two boys, right? Are Muslims, Muslimani. You have to use the dual, right? So that's what happens with the noon. Same thing with the una. Mu'minuna plus hum. So what does mu'minuna mean? Believers. What does mu'minuna plus hum mean? What does kitabuhum mean? Their book. So what does mu'minuna plus hum mean? They're believers, right? So when you connect it together, you get mu'minuhum. That's one word. It's not two words, huh? This is not a separate hum. Mu'minuhum. There's no noon, the noon disappears and goes away. So mu'minuhum sigharun. Their believers are young. Let's say you're talking about a school. Their believers are young, or a city or some people, whatever. That's what happens. That's a rule. I'm not going to test you on this, but it's a rule that you should know by next class. Okay? The third person attached pronouns take a kasra when preceded by a kasra or a lean. The diphthong, if you remember, a. O or a. Except one, and that's the ha. So this is a little bit of a tricky rule, but it's not tricky. So look. I say kitabuhu, right? If I say li'anna, what would happen to kitabuhu? Li'anna kitabahu, right? So we saw that li'anna kitabahu. Now if I put a min, it should be min kitabihu. It should have been min kitabihu. But the Arabs, they said that sounds weird. Kitabihu, the ihu just doesn't sound right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it sound more poetic, and we're going to say ihi instead. So whenever the hu is preceded by a kasra, it's also going to become a kasra. That's what the rule is saying. So when you see hu, and before it is a kasra, the hu changes to a he. Just to make it rhyme and sound nicer. That's the only reason. Okay? Same thing with the huma. So kitabuhuma li'anna li'anna. If I put li'anna here, kitabahuma, but if I put min, I get kitabihima. Instead of kitabihuma, I get kitabihima. So just to make it sound nicer and rhyme, that's what happens. Same thing here. Min kitabihum becomes min kitabihim. So never write min kitabihum. That's what it should have been, but it doesn't sound nice, so it becomes min kitabihim. Same thing with min kitabihinna and min kitabihinna. He. So when you have an A or even an O, you get the same thing. This is known as lean. If you remember, it's called diphthong. So it's lean. So when you have the A sound like muslimayni, that's considered to be a lean. So what happens here? What does kitabayhi actually mean? What does min kitabayhi? Min means from. What does kitabayhi actually mean? Two, yeah, but what is the actual meaning, full meaning of it? Full translation of kitabayhi. His two books. From his two books. Exactly. What is, how do you say two books? Kitabaini. Where did the noon go? It goes away because of the attached pronoun. So min kitabayhi. You got it? Okay, good. With the one exception of the ha, right? So you notice something, all the third person pronouns are here, with the exception of ha. Why? Because if you try to say min kitabi hiya, how can you say hiya or something? You can't do that. So it overrides it and it messes up everything. So all the third persons except ha. It's pretty easy to remember. If you think about it, it makes logical sense of why that should be. Okay? Then you get used to hearing that and it becomes natural. Another exception. The first person singular takes a fatha when it's followed by a wasla. So look at this. Kitabi, my book. Al-kabiru, my big book. Huna is here. But instead of saying kitabi al-kabiru, becomes kitabi al-kabiru. So two sukoons come in a row. What happens to the first sukoon? Normally becomes kasra. In this case, it becomes fatha. So it's like minal, right? Kitabiyal. That's all the rule is. Okay? Next one. The first person singular takes a fatha when preceded by a long vowel or a diphthong or a lean. This is a very, very, very important rule to know. Okay? So, you have kitabani plus e. You want to say my two books. So just think about what's happening here without looking at the answer. You have kitabani, two books. You want to say my. What do you add to it? Without the rule, you add e. So you're saying kitabani plus e. So what happens when you connect them? The first rule is noon goes away. So you're left with kitaba and e. But then you look at this rule. The first person singular, the e, it takes a fatha when there's a long vowel before it. You can't say kitaba e. Because what would happen if you wanted to say e? You would add a hamza letter. You add another letter there. You can't add another letter. So instead of saying e, you get a ya. Takes a fatha. Kitaba ya. So this ya actually stands for my. Kitaba ya. Jadidani. Two are new. So kitaba ya jadidani. My two books are new. Zalika min. That is from kitabay ya. So you get kitabay plus ya. You just add a shadda to show the two yas together, right? Kitabayya. Zalika min kitabayya. That is from my two books. Okay? Just go back, look at this. You'll see some of these exceptions. Don't worry too much about them, but try to get some of them down. Let's do some practice on the actual pronouns themselves. So let's do 3 and 3. And ignore the instructions. You know what to just translate them. Do not change them into verbs, because you can't. What? Why? When's the last time you checked? Just started. See if it comes back. Restart your computer and see if it works. Okay, let's take a look. We're doing all of these in the marfu' case, by the way, with dhammas, just to make it easier. All right, so number one, yadi, which means my hand. Number two, qalbuka, which means your heart. Number three, wajhuhu, wajhuhu, right? Wajhuhu, his face. His face. Number one, 9.2, her hand. Ya, yadiha, that's majroor. Just focus on regular case. Yaduha, yaduha. Number two, your face. That's wajhaka with wajhuka. Yeah. It's also correct, wajhaka, but you have to put lianna before it or something, right? Wajhuka. Number three, his son. Ibnuhu or waladuhu is also correct. Ibnuhu or waladuhu. Good. Let's move on. So now you can actually take a pronoun and attach it to a verb as well. You can attach it to a verb as well, and it gives you a different meaning. So you can't take a verb and say like, dakhala means he entered. So you can't say he entered. It doesn't make any sense. So it has a different meaning than when you attach it to a noun. So just understand that. So what you do is, you attach the pronoun, damir muttasil, it's called the same thing. It's suffixed to the verb in order to indicate a direct object. So like remember, what is the object? If I say, I wrote a book. I wrote a book. Right? I wrote a book means, where is the object? The book. Right? A book is the object. Now if you want to substitute a book with the pronoun, you say, I wrote it. So instead of saying book, you say it. So the it is the object of the verb, right? And you use the same exact pronouns that you already learned. Hu, huma, hum, ha, huma, hunna, ka, ki, all of that stuff, right? So I found them. Who did you find? Them. So them is the object of the verb. So that's the way we're going to use it, and it has its own special forms. Some of them have their own special forms. They're mostly, almost all of them are identical to the ones we just learned, with the exception of one. All right. So wajadtu plus ka gets wajadtuka. What does wajadtu mean? I found you. Ka. Wajadtuka, I found you. How do you say I found a girl? Wajadtu? No, a girl. A girl. Wajadtu? Bintun or bintan? Bintan, object, right? Now if you want to say I found her. Her. Wajadtuha. Exactly. If you're speaking to a girl and you say I found you. Wajadtu ki. Exactly. Okay? Same thing. Sami'na plus hu. So you get sami'na hu. Do not confuse the na for our or a pronoun. This is part of the verb. Right? So sami'na hu means we heard him. Right? How would you say, and this doesn't make sense in Arabic, but how would you say we heard us? Sami'na na. Right? You can't actually say that, but this you get the point. Same thing, you can use it with present tense verbs as well. It's not only past tense. So tadkhuluna, what does tadkhuluna mean? Speaking to a group of people, you enter or will enter. Alright? You will enter or you enter. Tadkhuluna ha, it. Alright, talk about, let's say, cities or something. Tadkhulunaha, you enter it or you will enter it. Okay? So that's the way it works when it comes to the attaching them to verbs. So how would you say, for example, I wrote it? Katabtu. Who? Good. How do you say I heard you? Talking to one person. Sami'tu ka. How would you say she she looked at her. We haven't learned that yet. We're going to learn that next. You get the point. All right. So let's do some practice. Oh, but then there's always exceptions, right? So there's only one exception. The one exception to the rule is the first person singular, instead of being e like kitabi, you add a noon and you get ni instead. Okay? So instead of saying wajada, wajadi, right, like kitabi, becomes wajadani. Because what would happen if you put it just to e? You get wajadi and you lose the wajada form. Right? You have to protect this form. That's why this is actually called a noon of protection. Noon al-wiqaya. It protects the verb. Right? So you need some help there. So you get wajadani. He found me. Atasma'uni. Did you or do you hear me? So instead of e, you get ni. One exception to the rule, right? Is there any other exceptions? Oh, there's one more. So in the third person past tense, the alif drops when a pronoun is attached. This is so easy, right? Remember dakhalu, you write it with the alif. Don't forget this on your final exam. Dakhalu, when you add a ha and you want to say dakhaluha, remove the alif. Otherwise it would look weird, right? It would look like a dakhalawaha or something weird. So you remove the alif when you attach a pronoun. When the pronoun's gone, you write the alif. It just has a cool style. You just write it and don't worry about why it's there. Dakhalu, don't pronounce it. But when you attach it, remove the alif. Dakhaluha, they entered it. Make sense? Easy rules, right? And that's it. That's all the exceptions. Oh, okay, one more. Never mind. All right, so in the second person past plural, tum becomes tumu when you attach a pronoun. Right? So how do you say, when did we use tum? How do you say I heard you? Sami'tu. I heard you. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, right. How do you say you? All you people heard me. Sami'tum ni. Right? Sami'tum ni. So this is the new rule that we learn. Whenever you use sami'tum, it becomes sami'tumu. So don't say sami'tum ni, say sami'tumuni. Sami'tumuka, like sa'altum. What does sa'altum mean? You asked. All you people asked, right? Sa'altum plus ni gets sa'altumuni. You just add a u there. Sa'altum becomes sa'altumu. Right? That also protects the verb form. So that's the reason. Okay? Alright, we got that down. Let's do a little practice let's do a little practice. Do number 1 and number 1. Okay, number 1. Somebody, come on, quickly. Time is running out. Ali, yalla. سَيَظْلَمُونَ who or whom? Okay, he said سَيَظْلَمُونَهُم. Anyone disagree? Everyone agrees with that? Yes. سَيَظْلِمُونَهُم. It's kasra. So you're all close. سَيَظْلِمُونَهُم, which means they will oppress them. Good. Number two. Number two. Yes, go. No. Where are you? Number two. Number two. Where are you guys going, man? Satas'alu. Huh? Oh, you're moving on to number one. Okay, fine. Okay, number one, 9.4. Go ahead. So يظلمونهم, because يظلمون is a verb, plural. So you only drop it from the plural nouns. Yeah. Kitabani, muslimuna. So now verbs you don't drop the una. Go ahead. Good. Say number one. Satas'aluha. Except you turn the him into a her. Satas'aluhu. If you were in San Francisco, that might work, but it's not going to work over here. So satas'aluhu. Good. She will ask him. Number two. Wa. Somebody help me. Number 9.3. Number two. Awajadtani. Awajadtani. What does that mean? Did you find me? Did you find me? Good. Number two, right? You can go and complain to people now in Arabic, right? Number two, when you go for Hajj and someone like hits you or does something to you, you go to the police. Actually, you're probably going to end up, getting more oppressed by the police there. But anyway, number two, you go to somebody and you say, he oppressed me. How would you say that? Past tense. Zalamani. He oppressed me. Right? Good. All right. Who would like to stay an extra 20 minutes and we finish out the rest of the work? Ooh, not everyone at once. Okay. In that case, we have the sad news of not being able to finish the prepositional pronouns. Look how much is left. So few slides left. All right. So I imagine you can handle this on your own at home, right? So that's option number one. Option number two, which would be out of normal standard protocols, is that we don't test you on this, and then if you take Arabic 2, we have to teach it at the beginning of the Arabic 2 class. Does anyone like that option? You have to raise your hand if you like that option. First time everyone raised their hands. MashaAllah. First time ever in the whole class. Alhamdulillah. So we'll do that. Hint for the final exam. You're going to have 30 questions which are copied and pasted out of your homework. I'm literally going to copy and paste from the homework. 30 questions. And you're going to do exactly what you did on the homework. So that means if you did your homework and you checked it and you got the answers right and you got it down, you will ace that part, which gives you 150 points on the final, okay, out of 260. Then there's going to be 50 questions, 1 point each, which are going to be just vocabulary. So I'm going to ask you, how do you say girl? And you're going to write bint. I'm going to say, how do you say pen? And you're going to write qalam. How do you say enemy? And you probably don't even remember that one, right? And I'm going to ask you what it is because you learned it. How do you say enemy? Adu. Good. So you have to write that, and you get 1 point for that. So you're going to have 50 vocabulary words and some verb conjugations. I'm going to say, how do you say, I will write? You have to write aktubu. All right? So that's 50 points. So if you can get that down, you already got, I forgot, 150 plus 50, 200 points. All right? The last one is something you've never seen before. It's going to be this long conversation in Arabic, and you're going to answer questions in Arabic from that conversation. That's going to be the tricky part. And you just got to work it out and you'll get it. It's not too hard. So if you do your homework, you got it down. Literally, it's like from the homework. So if you can just memorize all the homework answers, you got it down. It's impossible, but yeah.
When you write the vocabulary word, you have to write all the vowel signs.
I'm still deciding on that one. So I'm deciding whether or not you need to write the vowel signs or not. Like for example, qalamun. If I ask you to write the vowel sign, you write qalimun, I probably will test you on that. Because it's pretty bad if you think qalamun is qalimun, right? For this standard class. So I'm still deciding what to do because the test is going to be long. I'm telling you, it's going to take you about, the average person takes 2 hours and 30 minutes. Like how long it took you last time? You remember? Like 2 hours. So you're exception. How long it took you? Like 3 hours maybe? It took about 3 hours. So it's going to be long. You have to pace yourself. Huh? Yeah, it's going to be more difficult actually than last time. But so, inshallah, it'll be fine. Any questions on the final? Just, I'm telling you, do your homework. Just literally, my advice to you is go and do all the homework this entire weekend and then check it. And then make sure you understand why you got what's wrong and right, and you're good to go. I guarantee you're ready for the final. Huh? I don't know, sister. The administration will send out email when the final starts, inshallah. Oh, what am I giving you? I'm giving you the plurals, and I'm giving you the past tense conjugations and the present tense conjugations. That's it. So 14, and the plurals. Okay? Any other questions? Sunday, 2 o'clock, review session. And if you need any other help, you can always ask Allah for help. No, you can call me, inshallah, if you need to talk to me, or you can, talk to one of the friends in the class, someone from Arabic too. You can make an appointment with me as well if you need to talk to me, inshallah. Okay? Chapter 9 is included, except this preposition part that we didn't cover. That's the rahmah for you guys. Because Ustazukum Rahimun. Right? Right? Wa antum hukama hakimun. Right? Alright, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Chairs and tables, you know the drill.
So I don't know yet. I don't know. We're gonna decide later, inshallah.
Chairs and tables.
Yeah.